Welcome, everybody, to this week's Distressed Property Call. This podcast and broadcast is brought to you by Home Loan Advocates. That's right, my partner David Bartel at Home Loan Advocate. They specialized in distressed property solutions for buyers, sellers, investors, and realtors across the country. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter the situation you're in. If you're working on a distressed property and you need some assistance, call 805-413-8000. Again, that number is 805-413-8000. Ask for David Bartels or visit homeloanadvocates.com. Or if you'd like, send David an email at david@homeloanadvocates.com. This episode is also brought to you by Monster Marketing. That's right. That's the reason this call started and why we do it each and every week. Monster Marketing. It is a direct marketing method that I created to get face-to-face with people that have missed payments. It's literally 3% of the market, some more in other areas, but Monster Marketing guarantees face-to-face results with these people. We will give you proven step-by-step coaching, training, and mentoring so that you can convert those individuals into listings or deals, depending on being a realtor or investor. If you would like to find out more, go visit honish.com. That's HONISH.com. Coaching call, broadcast, whatever it is that you listen to. My name is Lee Honish, and as always, I am joined by the effervescent, brilliant, and amazing short sale negotiator and a tremendous broker on top of it, David Bartels. How are you today, David?
I'm doing just great. We got up early and I'm not supposed to be this busy this time of year, but I'm thrilled to tell you that we're very busy this time of year. I hope it's the market. I hope everyone's busy right now, but I hear mixed feelings. All my team is busy, but we worked hard all summer to make sure we were busy. But I hope everybody else kept their foot on the gas and it still feels like summer to them.
Because I'm actively doing real estate, and David knows this because he's met some of my team. They weren't until I came, David. Now they're all busy. I seem to make people busy really quick. For those of you who don't know, David Bartels is Home Loan Advocates. My name is Lee Honish, and I do Monster Marketing, which is part of the reason this call exists. It's a small part at this point. But David, tell everybody about Home Loan Advocates.
Well, Home Loan Advocates is a real estate consulting company specializes in distressed properties. In particular, we do a lot of short sale negotiations still for people who have them. People love having us do them, because we get dead deals done and get everybody paid. Number two, we accept everything, not just the easy ones. We encourage you, take deals that you don't think anybody can get done, send those to us. And if we get it done, send the rest of them to us, because most of them are going to be free. 7 out of 10 times, the bank pays our fee, which costs the agent nothing from there on. It's kind of a no-brainer situation. You don't send them to us because you don't know how. You send them to us because the highest and best use of your time is getting another one. That's where the money's made. So we're going to get a better result that you get. We're going to get it done faster than you would get it done, and we're going to get you paid more often because you're going to have extra time to go out and find new transactions. Now, from that, we have built this national organization of real estate professionals who are committed to helping homeowners avoid foreclosure. And we do that through education and assistance and coaching with loan modifications and foreclosure postponements, those kinds of things. And that is really been rolling out in a big way, and our website is finally at the proofing stage, and I'm very eager to show it to everybody in the coming 2-3 weeks as we take it from a non-published location on the World Wide Web to something that's visible to everybody.
I am the marketing arm of this whole program. For those of you who don't know, if you're interested in learning more about distressed properties and how to market to them, all you have to do, give me a call. This is going to be a first for the whole thing. Call me, because David didn't give out his phone number. David, what's your phone number real quick?
805-413-8000, 805-413-8000.
And your email?
David@homeloanadvocates.com.
See, you're out of practice. I go away for a week, David, and you're just not podcast
broadcast?
Well, it's not really the top of mind. I'm perfectly. I figured that people will find me. They want me. I'm not that hard to find.
It's funny that you say that. I did a presentation for a real estate company who was interested in Monster Marketing yesterday, and I'm like, "How did you find us?" Well, if you do research, it just kind of winds up on you and David and whatever it is that you're doing.
Right.
Eventually, I'm like, "Why don't you just call me?" Well, you don't really put your number out there. All right. So if you are interested in distressed marketing, okay, or any kind of marketing whatsoever, and I don't think I've ever done this on any of the broadcasts, give me a call. My cell phone number is 853. I almost did 853. What the hell? 858-663-2537. That is my real cell phone. Send me a text, please. I prefer it that way. It's not phone phobia. I'm just taking care of sick people all the time. And or you can send me an email at leehonish@yahoo.com. Simple as that. All right. Onward and upward. David, you received a text from me at 5 a.m. yesterday, assuming that I thought you'd be awake at that hour too.
I was awake, but not awake enough to respond with any intelligence.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to talk about it today because I think it's going to be beneficial for everybody. We did kind of do our coaching call earlier and answer some questions. We are looking at doing the Monster, possibly with an upgrade for a couple of months to work on canceleds and withdrawn, and I think it'll be fun. There's a little bait. You should sign up for the Monster right now. Okay. I have determined, David, having now worked with a period of time, I have determined a system for working with what we call a non-performer, right? Either a new agent that's just starting out or an agent that's been doing it for a period of time that has gotten stuck and can't get restarted. That was what the text was about. And I've broken it down into 3 steps. And I am dying to publicly put it out there because I've run it by people that I know David and I both respect. I'm actually running it by an actual PhD relationship doctor because the third one is the hardest one of the steps. And I need to see if there are viable ways for getting around some of the emotional and trauma issues that actually do exist. And I'm feeling that this might be helpful for the group today for the next 10 or 15 minutes to discuss these 3 steps. So if you want to write these down and follow along or input, raise your hand, do whatever you're doing on the coaching call and putting your own info. These are the 3 steps if you are currently struggling or starting out in real estate. I will preface it, David. David, if I told you that a loved one was going to die today and I was only going to arm you with 100 flyers for a property or a flyer of any nature real estate related, and you were to go down to the local outdoor market, whatever area, and you had 3 to 4 hours to go find a real estate transaction. I don't care if it's a buyer or a seller or a really viable lead. Do you think you could go do it?
100. Well, what's on the flyer?
Doesn't matter. You can have the flyer say you buy houses for cash. You could say you have a listing. You could say whatever you want it to say. I think the flyer is a prop in my mind in this scenario.
I think that I could find a way because I'm just doing math, right?
Right.
4% of people are, so you go out to a restaurant and there are 100 people in that restaurant. 4% of those people are in or thinking about doing a real estate transaction.
Yep.
So the secret here is to identify those 4, right?
Yep.
So the thing that you have to do is that you have to make some sort of special offer to get them to stop and have a conversation with you. And so I would think about what would I do to stop them in their tracks. And so I would probably create a flyer that that communicated something that nobody else would communicate. So I just have just the flyer. That's all I got in me.
It's just you, a smile, and a flyer. I'll give you a pen so you can write down.
Can I have my brokerage gear on? My.
No, you know what? Letters. I do like billboards these days. I don't know if I'd go full because you like to wear your top.
Yeah,
So I'm going to allow it. I'm going to allow it for
have my logoed, pull over and maybe my hat.
Yep.
And
I'm in.
And so what I would do is, I would just make a, proposition. And I don't know if I would go for a buyer or a seller. I would probably, if I had to do a transaction, I'd probably focus on buyers because that's easier to convert, and I can get a buy. I can start writing buyer offers that day. I don't have to wait a week to prep a house and do evaluations. I can move them from buyer to showings in a day. So I would probably go out and promote my Smart Buyer program, where we're giving them we're doing commission sharing with them, plus paying a free move, plus a free handyman service. And I would talk to as many people as I would talk to announce that until I found somebody who was ready to engage. And I would put an asterisk on it that program expired by the end of the month. So we needed to get going today.
Okay.
So I bet I could sign somebody up on a buyer's agency agreement in one day with 100 flyers.
And you would save the life of a loved one, correct?
Yeah,
that's really ultimate. I know it's a harsh scenario.
I would not want to do it that way, but if we bet a quarter that I could, I'd win the quarter, I think.
Okay, fair enough. And the reason I use that scenario, one of my former partners gave me that scenario because it's something he heard in a seminar, and the logic of it was, shouldn't you be working every day like you're working for your loved ones? I have a friend who's a pipe layer, union pipe layer in Las Vegas, and he's literally dying on the job. He's hurting his back. And I say, you already understand the mindset. He goes, that's not hard. He goes, it's the hard part is knowing my body's failing and knowing I can't do it forever, right? But he goes, the only reason I do it is for my kids and for my family. He goes, this is a horrible job. He goes, it pays really well, but it's a horrible job. And we're lucky we're in real estate. We don't really have. So when people tell me it's a mindset issue, especially if they have something that they are willing to love and fight for, I created that question specifically, and then I ran it by 100 people. And then I took the people who gave me, and this is a true answer that I got a lot of I don't knows. What do you mean I don't know? If somebody posed that question to me, it's not an I don't know. I'm going to go try and die trying. Like, that just seems logical to me. And this is someone who had kids. In a lot of these cases, a lot of them had kids or family. I'm like, what do you, I don't know. I guess I have a bad mindset. Okay. So I kept compiling all this, David, into the next 3 steps. Does everybody understand the question? I'm sure you asked yourself, and many of you are saying to yourself, yeah, give me 100 flyers. I'll wear this. I'll go do this. I'll find something, right? Okay, cool. For those of you that said, I don't know, this is what I invented for you. And David and I are going to play it out because I think it's actually pretty cool. There are 3 things that are holding you back. The first one is what I call the 90-15 rule. And David and I have droned on about this to ad nauseum, which is you need a clean 90 seconds like you do with the monster at the front door, where you can break the ice and get them to trust and like you in those 90 seconds, and then have a 15-minute conversation to connect with them. The second rule is what I call shiny bauble disease, which David and I both see, both coaching and here on this call, which is, hey, Lee and David, have you heard about the brand new short sale company that now provides you with REO listings and 100% money on close while also washing your car when you close that escrow? That's a real thing in real estate, thanks to the amount of media influence we have. And the third, which is the hard one, and this is the one that I'm actually talking to a real psychologist about, David, emotion. Laziness is an actual emotion. It is based on some things, and I'm actually having the real doctor kind of break this down to figure out the techniques for getting around it, because it's what I've discovered, and David knows this in his own life. Emotional trauma, either that you know about or you don't know about, happening to you now or in your past or in your existing life, is what's keeping you from being successful. I want to focus on the thing. So you need to examine that in your own life. If you are not successful right now, I guarantee it's one of those 3 things. Guarantee it. First, let me ask, David, how do you like my system?
So far, so good.
All right, let's break it down. Step number 1, I'm armed with my 100 flyers. I am going to go out to the local outdoor market. I am not going to billboard myself up. My flyers for me personally, when I tested this, were nothing more than a prop, just a listing in the local area. All I did was walk around and do a conversation starter, right? As you've talked about previously, you're not overt in your conversation starting. You wait for somebody to ask you the question. But I'm playing the scenario out in my mind, and when I ran the test, which was I'm going to go be the conversation starter, which is not in my personal nature. David knows this about me. A couple that coach with me. I'm actually, I know everybody holds your laugh. I'm an introvert. And I'm not really good in public places. That's why I have a business partner. I need a pivot who can help me into conversations. So I had to be proactive, David. And my conversation starter was about complimenting or commenting about something cool with the first people. Oh my God, Barbara DeMarco laughed at me, David. She doesn't believe that I'm an introvert. She laughed a lot. And Jane said, right, and I'm a giraffe. It's true. All right. I focused on, hey, that's a cool dog. That's a really interesting watch. I was looking for icebreakers with just people that I was meeting walking up the sidewalk, and it didn't matter if it was male or female. It was something small, it was something cute, and it was something very clever. Like, wow, can I just stop you for a second? I really like your watch. Do you see any problem there with my icebreaker?
No.
All right. Which leads to the conversation about the watch, the earring, his belt, his t-shirt, the dog, whatever. And what I discovered, you guys aren't going to believe me about this, the conversation 8 times out of 10, David, what's the flyer for? Is it now permission based in my mind?
The icebreaker what?
So I do my icebreaker, right? David,
Yeah.
Can I really compliment you on your belt? I know this is really weird because I have a lot of belt issues, but your belt looks super comfortable on you. Can I ask where you got it? Can you tell me a little bit about it? Does it work? Do you have like weird?
Got it at Costco.
Did you really? I would have never guessed that. It looks like a much higher brand. I know you're enjoying every moment of role playing with me. And in 8 out of 10 cases, male or female with me, David, somebody asked me about the flyer that I was carrying, right?
Right.
So at that moment, I made a pivot. Oh, I'm just out here talking to local businesses and people. I have a property that I'm getting ready to list in the area, and I'm looking for people interested in, possibly buying a house or selling a house. Anything wrong with what I've done?
No.
And if I felt that the conversation was dying off, I let it pass. They statistically took the flyer in every case where they asked. But what I was looking for were people who engaged me and wanted to talk about real estate. So this is where I'm going to turn it back to you, David. You are much smoother at this. I am a neophyte as a newbie agent, which I'm really not. I had a license a long time ago. I just built houses. But I'm not a smooth talker in those situations, right? How do I prolong that conversation, right, where I feel that it's trailing off?
You have to get beyond superficial, and you have to get to an authentic place. Agreed. And usually the way to do that is to ask them subtle, not too direct questions about themselves, and you just really want to cut to the chase after a minute. So, so you're having this conversation, you've got them stopped, and you just say, I'm hanging, I appreciate you telling me that. And I would just transition. Hey, I'm hanging out. I'm hanging out here today. I'm actually working a challenge. Somebody challenged me that I couldn't find 4 people out of 100 that might be interested in
That's brilliant.
engaging in an extended conversation about real estate. So what I did to win that bet, I put together an unbelievable program And I don't know whether or not you're interested or not, but I'd love to show it to you just to get your feedback so you can tell me whether or not this is a program that I should try, or maybe offer suggestions that would give me a better chance of success.
Oh, you're so smart. You're so smart, David. That is so brilliant. So now we're engaged and we're having the conversation, right? So now at the 15-minute mark, if you can get a, I will psychologically tell you this because I've read all the books in the study. David knows this for a fact. If you're over 15 minutes with these people, if you don't walk away with their information, you did something incredibly wrong at this moment. Something went terribly wrong where they don't want you to fall. Can I send you more? Right? The pivot's not even hard at that point, right? If they're even halfway engaged. I lost David.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. So if I've engaged,
I'm disagreeing with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Were you nodding your head silently?
Kind of.
All right. But you see where I'm going with it, right? I really think that people. I had this happen with somebody that I was coaching who was brand new, David. This exact scenario where they were focusing all over the place. The emotion wasn't the issue. It was either shiny bauble, but I kept him. Hey, Lee, I saw a website that does this. Lee, I want a cold call. You don't have your 90 seconds. Like, you don't have your icebreaker. You're not being authentic. People think you're just using them and selling to them. Nobody in this market is going to buy or sell with you if they think you're inauthentic, they don't have a connection, they don't trust or like you. You don't need to be an expert. You really just have to be willing to put a little bit of you into it. And I can't stress how important that is. It is slightly beyond the scripts, which goes against the grain of what's being taught in real estate. Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, listen, there are a lot of ways to do real estate. There are a lot of ways to meet people and to establish trusted relationships. And for me, you got to start with really what's comfortable for you to do. But there's nothing you're going to do that's going to feel comfortable until you do it well. You're going to have to go out and you got to start uncomfortable to get comfortable. So what that means is that if you wait until you're perfect, until you got it down before you're going to go out and try, you will turn blue holding your breath and die in the corner waiting.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not like, waiting to go out and try some of this stuff is like waiting till you can afford to have kids, waiting till you can afford to, have a wedding, waiting till you can afford to have surgery. All right. The bottom line is you never get to a place where you could do it. If people waited till they could afford to have kids until they read every book on raising kids if possible, went to every seminar, spent 10 years learning how to be a parent and saving enough money so that they know that they'd have adequate, resources in order to raise them the way that the books tell them to raise them, nobody would have kids. You got to go for it and have the faith that you're going to figure it out along the way. And implementing any kind of new strategy is exactly the same way. You kind of get the concept down, you get the highlights maybe 60, 70, 80% of the way, and the rest you learn on the job. You get paid to train, and you go out there and do it. And maybe it's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect because the person that you're speaking to doesn't know that you are not meeting your own expectations in terms of understanding how to apply everything that's available. But you will get there with each and every time that you do it again. So you just got to go out and do it. Point, shoot, aim. Point, shoot, aim.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Which takes us to parameter number 2 for Diana Russell. Yes, we've recorded this, Diana. Which takes me to parameter number 2. And again, David and I have talked about it on all of these broadcasts and coaching calls. Shiny bauble disease. It's real. The media influence is real. Your Facebook is really listening to you. Everything you think is true. There are no get rich. We talked about it 2 weeks ago with the Car Expo. Everybody's got the latest, greatest, help you fix it. I don't know if it's curable. I just think that I would like to see people in real estate a little more skeptical, I guess, David.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's hard, right? I look, it's a really hard hurdle, right? Let's say you do have a solid 90-15 and you're in a broker's meeting and he trots in a guy who's got the latest scripts that are guaranteed to whiten your teeth and get you a listing. I mean, it's appealing, right? And if you've got somebody who's charismatic who can push the product, that's going to have serious influence over the way your brain is going to process treating another person.
Right. Well,
anything you want to add on shiny bauble disease? I mean, I know it comes up a lot in your business and you have bought a lot of product. What's your experience on shiny baubles?
Yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, I'm right now in where I'm getting rid of some of the shiny baubles. Where, we try some things and we figure out what works and we do it better. Some systems that we use, we're going to be able to shorten and get more to the point based on what's working and what's not working. Basically, I'm doing an exercise right now that I think everybody ought to do, and this kind of related, and that is that I actually started doing this. I'm going through I'm doing two things. I'm going through all of my credit card receipts, my business credit card receipts. And I'm looking at every line, everything that we spent money on and trying to figure out what was necessary and what was, because I know that I'm spending money on things that I don't use anymore.
Yep.
Okay. I know that to be true. So I heard somebody say recently that once a year you should have the bank replace your card, get new numbers. That means all of your vendors won't get paid if you got them on auto pay, and then they start calling you. Then you get to reevaluate whether or not you want to renew with them or not. So it's one way to stop auto renewals for something you don't even know is on auto renewal. Does that make sense?
Yeah. In fact, that's the way I do it.
Huh?
That's the way I do it. I just wait for the call and see what turns off.
Right. So that's
and
one
if it's
way.
Not something in my day-to-day life, I go, okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I'm doing is we're going back the last 12 months and we are looking at every one of our transactions to find out what the source of that was. And then we're going to figure out what are our top 3 or 5 places that we generate leads. And then we're going to look at the other things and we're probably going to make them go away and put more focus on the things that are generating results. So do more of what works and less of what doesn't, as evidenced by real deals, not feelings, not the number of leads it generates. Where are the transactions coming? Now, and then how do we do a better job with those? How do we generate more of those? And that's how we're going to get it done. And in the process, we might be able to, reduce the number of people that we have employed, because it takes a lot of people to do all these, some of these initiatives, or we redirect them into something else because we want double the energy on one project versus another. So Brilliant. That's what this time of year is for. Normally, I'm not this busy, and I really enjoy it going through, but it's a little stressful now because it's very busy. And it's turned into a stressor because I don't have time to do what I know I need to do before the end of the year. So anyway, so I'm taking a thinking weekend this weekend.
Smart. Good call. So there's step 1, there's step 2, which takes us to step number 3, which is the one that scared me the most because I didn't know how to deal with it. Right? Which is the emotion of it, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not fast enough. I don't know enough. I don't know this. Or as Mark Doris asked, which is interesting, can you elaborate on laziness as an emotion? And I'll read this because laziness is a thing. I suffer from laziness. And so I asked my lovely PhD who's trying to fix all the ills inside of me. And I laid this whole scenario out at the same hour, by the way, David, 5 a.m. He just waited till noon before he engaged. He's well aware of my mania as well. And this is what he has to say. So for those of you that think you're suffering from laziness, let me share this from an actual published PhD. I don't know if I can say who my doctor is legally since I'm recording, but lazy can be fear. Okay, lazy can be fear, as fear is one of the master emotions. The second is shame, feeling inadequate, not enough, defective, something's wrong with me, incompetent. Fear comes from outside us and into us. Shame corrodes our core beliefs that we can change. So if you feel that you're suffering from laziness, it's not because you're lazy, it's because, and this is what I truly believe, and I know this from coaching as well, you are not dealing with some personal trauma, you're not processing it, you're not progressing, you're not moving forward. David has told his story. We talked about my story of what's been going on with me for the last 3 months, which is a lot, and I tend to do it publicly. But let's just talk about you, David, because this isn't, I'm sure it's helpful. We've maintained everybody for this call, and they're probably trying to figure out what's not making them into a great producer. You, at the downfall of the market, lose everything, right? So we're talking about what are the most traumatic things you can go through, loss of a family member, loss of a job, traumatic, massive losses that if you don't process, and this is a real thing, many books on the topic, and you've worked a lot with grief, as have I, David. If you don't process something that you've had either in your childhood or that's currently happening to you within 2 years, you're in something called stuck. And stuck can manifest itself as laziness. It could be manifested as depression. Emotion is a really important part of what we do, which is keeping you from being, step one, authentic and genuine. Can you tell your story when everything just sort of crumbled and you just bared down and woke up and decided, I'm going to do real estate and this is how it is?
I have a theory that says when all else fails, sling effort at it. I just work harder. So what I lack in experience, I make up for with enthusiasm. And, that is never a bad way to do it. The difference between me and I think a lot of people is that if they're not good at it, they don't want to try. But what I do is if I'm not good at it but I'm confident that it will work and it'll make a difference, then I try harder until I'm good at it. And that's, and so there are a lot of people with a lot of different worldviews on this, and everybody is that type. There are some people who just are, it's like, I don't care what I got to do. Show me something that's likely to get me results, and I'm going to go out and do the work and even the extra work. And then there are other people said, that seems too hard. I don't think I can do it, and I'm going to fail. And so it's just a waste of my time. And I don't want to do it unless there's a guarantee. Well, anything works if you do it enough and you do it well enough. But what I tell my team, and I've said it here many times, is failure to convert a lead is not the fault of the lead. Okay. So, our job is to figure out how to build those relationships with people. And one of the things is that I'm trying to instill here in my team is that we don't really talk to them as like leads. So we're trying to change the language, even though I'm using the word lead here today. That's the term that most people understand. But really what we're trying to do is reframe these leads as relationships. How many relationships do we have in our database? What's the frequency of the communication with our relationship? It's not speed to call, which is what everyone's talking about. Speed to call. You get a lead, you got to call them with 1 minute. No, what I think is, what's the speed to the response? What's the right response to their engagement? When people start engaging with us, we can't wait until tomorrow or tonight to engage. We got to drop what we're doing and doing it. and take care of it. If I get I don't buy Realtor.com or Zillow lead. I buy no leads actually. But if I were getting those leads, what they teach you to do is drop everything you're doing and call them right there. The first person to the lead wins.
Yep.
And that may or may not be good. But the truth is I know when I do that, having had some experience with it, that 90% of the time when I call them, either I can't reach them and I have to leave a message, or they're kind of annoyed that I called so fast and don't really want to talk to me. And so what's more, so I really have to nurture those leads, and I've got to move them down, because as far as they're concerned, I'm just a salesperson trying to sell them something, and I add no value, and nobody wants to be sold anything. And so what we have tried to do when we get new leads is we try a more subtle approach where we're calling them and we're feeling them out. Where are you? What information can we provide you? Maybe we can start a little bit about what our company does so you can see how we're different. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about what you're looking for, the process that you know, the timeline that you're on, and see if we can identify a timeline and a strategy to best help you achieve what those objectives are, and then offer to give them new information, and then move them from cold to warm to hot throughout their time frame. Because most buyers are starting the process about 6 months before they want to look at a house, and about 9 to 12 months before they want to buy a house. So if you know that and you get a new buyer lead and you're pushing them to go show houses, well, you are not matching, you're not meeting them where they are. And so what we have to do in lead conversion is kind of figure out where they are and meet their energy there. If they're in the I'm just curious looking around stage, then you better find some things that help them scratch that curiosity. So send them switch properties, send them, have conversations about alternatives. What if them, if you couldn't find, hey, how about as an exercise? I know you said Thousand Oaks, but how about as an exercise? I send you 5 houses in Moore Park, just so you could see, what the difference is. Just an idea, and go. I know you're not in danger of buying anything, but my job is kind of expose you to all the different options, so when you are ready, you make the right decision. And so if they're in that information gathering stage, I want to try to be their information provider. When that means that when they get into the showing property stage, then I'm going to be a natural resource. If I stayed in touch, I continued to help them. I gave them referrals to lenders. I did, whatever the case may be. And then when they get hot, then I'm going to be the guy. They're going to do something with us. So what I need to do is I need to start off soft and gentle, not hard close. It's not hard close convert. You're not selling houses. Selling cars. It's not hard close. It's nurture, 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 meet them where they are, add value, grow them. And then, next thing you know, you're putting on the training wheels, and next thing you know, you're taking off the training wheels. And next thing you know, they're calling you and say, hey, I found 4 houses on Zillow. Can we go look at it this weekend? And, and there you go. That's how it works. But you've got to start the relationship based on where they are. And so what's more important is when they re-engage you, because you're using technology and touch to stay in communication, the speed to response then becomes really important. So if they finally get to the place where they're ready and they start showing up, you need to be able to respond quickly and be able that quickly to help them, because they might have a secondary or third person that they're going to go to. And the way consumers are is that once we all are to a certain extent, once we decided something, we want immediate gratification. And that's why 70% of agents end up using the agent that they engaged with first. But I don't know that that's exactly to be true. I would say 70% of clients end up engaging 70 or 80% of the time with the first agent that added value to them.
Yep.
and gave them a safe place to be in that stage without feeling pushed or pressured or obligated.
There you guys go. I'll tie it up on the emotion thing, certainly from me, and what my breakthrough was for me, and that's certainly helped me create this and at least flesh it out and have a discussion here publicly, was I needed to know what my why was, right? It's a big deal. It's a motivator. At least for me, my biggest deal was my why. What do I believe in? What do I fight for? What gets me out of bed? What will get me past laziness? What will help me deal with my inner trauma and demons that I've never dealt with? And once I established that, me being healthy and authentic with people, which I've been, David will tell you our conversations are on a totally different plane these days. And so with the very few friends that I actually have, I have better relationships because of it. I have better business comes to me now. I don't have to go out and force for business. And that's just me sharing on the topic. David, if people want to have a conversation with you, how would they get a hold of you?
Well, I can be reached at 805-413-8000, 805-413-8000. Email david@homeloanadvocates.com.
And if you want to call me and have an authentic conversation about where you're stuck at or something like I need more leads, I'm good at that. You can give me a call at 858-663-2537 anywhere in the great United States. And you can also email me at leehonish@yahoo.com.